At the time of filming, 2 days ago, so the 18th of May, 2026, there was a contest that was streamed live on social media. And this contest was between a human and a humanoid robot. It ran for 10 hours, and the goal was to sort parcels. They had to kind of orientate the parcels so the barcode goes down onto this conveyor belt. The robot, it worked in shifts. The human got breaks, so it got lunches, it got bathroom breaks, as required by law. At the end of 10 hours, the human had sorted 12,924 parcels. The robot, it had sorted 12,732, which means the human won by 192 packages. He left with a sore forearm and a beer. But then the robot, it just kept sorting. And you can still watch the broadcast here today. So the robot in this live broadcast competition comparison thing was from a company called Figure AI. And this is their latest model that they've just unveiled. They had a predecessor robot, Figure 2 robot. I've made a small video about it before. But this is the latest one. This one has been trained on a lot of real-world data. And this data came from 10 months at BMW's factories. It became an entity in the production line. And it worked for 10-hour shifts alongside human workers. And it kind of had the same schedule as humans, so it worked 5 days a week. And it helped produce 30,000 BMW X3s. Figure 2 was 170 centimeters tall. So that's taller than me. Weighs around 70 kilograms. Heavier than me. And moves in a way that is eerily human. But that was in the design specifications. Because Figure AI builds robots that look like people because they are designed to work in spaces built for people, using the same tools, going in the same spaces as humans, and being able to reach the same fixtures that humans would be in production lines. BMW said that when Figure 2 arrived on their factory floor, initial curiosity from all the workers and oh my gosh, what is this thing doing here? Eventually, over the next few months, were just acceptance that this was just another one of their teammates. And before long, people just coexisted with these robots. It was just okay, cool, we're all here to do our job. Meh. So we've had robots on factory floors since the 1960s. But for most of the time up until now, they look nothing like humans. They just look like weird arms and industrialized stuff. The human form was absent, whether that was deliberate or not. And it kind of kept the category to this is a tool and we are humans. So I want to say that it was deliberate. But I don't know for sure. But there was a clear line, and it was visible to most people working as well as people above, and just noticing what happens on factory floors. And the humanoid robot, it actually crosses that line, but it is deliberate by design. It was built to look like a colleague. And it turns out that that decision matters. So in 2018, that's about 8 years ago, researchers at the CNRS in Japan and France, they ran an experiment. They had 42 people perform a repetitive industrial task. Things like touching targets on a screen. And they had humanoid robots work alongside these people doing the exact same task as them. The participants were told, focus on your own task, don't worry about the humanoid robot next to you. Just ignore it. The thing is, the people couldn't just ignore it. When the robot moved faster, the people also sped up. When it slowed down, they followed suit and slowed down as well. The movement frequency seemed to change to match the pace of the robot. People describe it as not an active choice to do this. It kind of just happened. They kind of just went, they just synchronized. That's the right English word. Then researchers covered the head and kind of torso of these humanoid-looking robots, leaving kind of only a movable arm. And then that effect that they saw, that synchronicity, it disappeared. The difference was the presence of a body, or the visible presence of a body, that changed how the human interacted, or how the human did its job, because there was no interaction between the human and the robot. It was just a mimicking. And then they asked the participants afterwards, did you notice that this kind of behavior happened? And they were like, no. Most of them were like, oh, my behavior didn't change. And that's interesting. We, as humans, have a social attention system that has evolved over a very long time. And it tracks other human bodies around us to kind of mirror them, respond to them, and calibrate ourselves against them. It might not be something that you're actively aware of, but next time you're in a group of people and you're there and you do certain body movements that would cause other people to do other body movements, whether it's like, okay, maybe not that, don't do that. That was just my impulsive thought coming out. But if you take up more space, you might make people feel smaller. Or if you are all open up and relax, you'll start to notice that everyone opens up and relaxes. We are bouncing off our human behaviors off other people. And some people out there will sell you a course on how to manipulate your human behavior so that you can get the best out of a situation. And you know what? It does technically work. But for most people, we just do it intuitively. And the charismatic few are just naturally good at maneuvering their body such that people interact with them in maybe a more positive light. So, there was also a separate study done in 2024 where it looked at surveys of thousands of workers across 20 European countries from 2025 to 2020. And it found that robotization in a workplace, when it increases, workers found that their sense of meaningfulness and autonomy at their place of work actually decreased. The numbers were doubling the amount of robots that existed there, equaled about a 1% drop in how much workers felt that their work was their own. And that number might seem small now, and maybe the robots there were not necessarily humanoid robots, but there's still something about, oh, a robot can do my job? Oh man, damn. Okay, I'm not that special. That's the kind of essence I think they're getting at here. And they found that these effects were the sharpest. So this decline was the sharpest in routine-based jobs. So maybe the production line, sorting the packages, those kind of oh, yeah, damn. Someone can actually take my job. And this is exactly the kind of place that these figure robots are being designed to inhabit. And if we look at these two findings about human and humanoid robot interactions, well, I keep saying interactions. It's not interactions because it's just coexistence, actually. They kind of point to the same thing. They just come at it from different angles. If you put a human-shaped machine next to a human, the person changes. Their movements, their pace, their just general existence there. I'm talking about the physicalness of what they're doing. But also their sense of self in relation to the work that they're actually doing. And you know what? The robot, it doesn't change. And the robot is never going to change unless it's in training mode. But once it's been trained, it's designed to stay there and do the job until forever. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't get bored. It just keeps sorting. Figure AI is targeting the number of 100,000 robots produced a year for the next 4 years. The Plus One study that we were talking about earlier found that this behavioral effect that humans start to mimic that of the robot was actually stronger in people who had more robotic experience, which is an interesting finding because exposure will deepen the pool of being able to mimic or effectively your body naturally do that kind of stuff. So effectively saying the more time you spend with robots, the more we become, or the more we mimic their behavior. So as this scales from hundreds of robotic workers to millions of robotic workers, the question stops being about, oh, they're taking all the jobs, etc., etc. And it starts becoming something a little bit more difficult to name. When work gets organized around something that never gets bored, never gets tired, never slows, never has a bad morning, and is never irritable before a cup of coffee. The work, it stops feeling like it belongs to a person, or it's a job, and the job's intention is for people. It now becomes something you perform to keep up, rather than something that comes from you. Like the job, you are doing the job. Like I'm trying to say on like a meta level, a job is innately a human thing to get done, to create in the world, to solve a problem in the world, to sort these packages in the world. That it was the human that did this, and there was a level of pride that came along with that, no matter how menial the job is. That is now shifted. And we know that that's always kind of been the risk with machines starting to exist with humans doing similar work. But in the past, those machines were obviously machines. You could cut grass quicker with an electric lawnmower than you did with a hand-pushed one. You were still operating it. But now, we are existing with the humanoid robot in a different way. And what is different now is it's the form of this robot. The humanoid robot doesn't just set the pace. It starts looking exactly like the person next to it. It's got hands, it's got a face, it's got a body, it's got fingers. Same height, same reach, same rhythm. And that's kind of like saying there's now a humanoid robot using a manual lawnmower instead of having an electric lawnmower. There's a difference there. And there's a difference that if you had to exist with that and you say, oh, I need to go cut the grass this morning, and then the robot goes out and cuts the grass alongside you using a handheld lawnmower, there's something different about that than you hopping on an electric lawnmower. That's what I'm kind of talking about. There's something different there, and that's what I'm capturing in these workplaces where people will work next to humanoid robots. And the research is showing us that we start to calibrate, we start to do what those humanoid robots are doing. So what is scaling here is not the number of robots or the amount of output these companies can have. It's actually people being pulled to a pace that was not suitable for them or unreasonable for them because they weren't working at that pace before these robots. And it's not a conscious decision of them. It's just like, oh my gosh, we have to do this. I'm not getting paid more to do it, but he's going faster than me, so I just gotta, you know? And when that contest ended, the human went home, but the robot kept sorting. And I think it was the CEO of Figure AI, correct me if I'm wrong, but he made a comment that said, after this competition that they did, that this will be the last time that humans will win this, which kind of scary, no? So this is a very interesting one because it sees something where we don't actually have to design robots in production lines that look like humans. They can look some other way. And there's a lot of research on uncanny valley and all that kind of stuff. But this one is particularly, how does the presence of a human-like entity change us? And it's evident that we're the ones that are going to change. Now, if they start increasing this more and more and more, what else is going to happen? Is it going to be some sort of manipulation tactic from the company to be like, okay, robots, you work at 1.5 times the speed of humans, and humans will automatically start working that much more as well? Like, there's that to account for, and obviously there's also, if a robot can do it better than a human, then the human's going to lose their job. But yeah, we're not going down that one today. But still, what does this mean going forward? And does it just stop at humanoid shape? I think we can safely say that a lot of us use the word delve now. I think I just watched this TED Talk by this guy here. He's pretty cool. And he was talking about how our language now, we use the word delve. And that's just from human-like speaking robots. We've just, And we must just remember that these robots are not neutral. Nothing is neutral about them. They're designed by companies that have values and whatever that they want to get out into the world. So how are these companies changing us? Anyway, check you guys tomorrow.